In this lesson, we will go over the complicated world of human emotions. We're going to talk about what the different emotions are, what they look like, and things that we can do to help control and tame our emotions. Okay, so by no means is this list exhaustive. We're just going over several of the most commonly occurring emotions that you'll likely feel. All right, so what are emotions in general? Well, have you guys ever seen the movie Inside Out? If so, you'll know that emotions describe our ever-changing internal feelings. They capture our current state of being and how we think, feel, and act. Emotions have a very real impact on our lives. So the way that you think and feel really affects your day-to-day living, right? In particular, emotions affect how we act and how we interact with other people around us. So while there are many different types of emotions, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to focus on the following ones: anger and frustration, sadness, fearfulness or being afraid, restlessness and boredom, surprise or shock, and happiness/joy. It's important to note that while emotions themselves are universal, right? Everyone feels these things from time to time. The way that others express their emotions can be really different, okay? No two people really express the same emotion the exact same way, all right? This is part of what makes us, unique and individuals. So by understanding what the basic emotions are and what they commonly look like, this helps us to anticipate and respond to the needs of others and how they're thinking and feeling, just as we would want them to respond appropriately to the way that we are thinking and feeling. All right, sometimes without us having to voice our emotions. Okay, so this is just when you think of emotions, you can think of like the emojis on your iPhone or your Android keyboard, right? The different faces indicate different feelings, and you use them when you're chatting with people or talking with people to indicate or add that emotional affect to your messages. Okay, so happy, you got a smiley face; sad, you're frowning; bossy, you might be yelling; proud, right? You feel proud of yourself, you're happy. If you're confused, you might be looking down, you might have a scrunched up forehead. Um, if you're curious, right, you might be kind of like, what's this all about, right? In a state of like surprise or wonder. So anger and frustration, how it feels. So anger feels kind of like our insides are pulsing with this uncontrollable hot lava, and you're trying to keep it from erupting. Anger can happen when we feel out of control or when something happens that we feel is unfair. It can also happen when we feel attacked or threatened. So if someone calls us out on something and we're not comfortable with it, okay, we can feel the need to retaliate. We can start to feel angry or frustrated. So what it can look like, and again, this is variable. It really depends. Not everyone who is angry will act like this, but these are just some common themes of what anger might look like. So you might have furrowed brows and squinty eyes. You might grind your teeth, right? Your body might tense up and you might start to shake a little bit because you're trying to keep it in without, exploding, going off on someone. You might yell or use unkind words to others. And for some people, anger manifests itself by becoming very quiet and withdrawn, okay? They might be like the quiet, angry type as opposed to the loud, explosive type. So when we feel angry, here's some things that we can do. We can acknowledge and reframe our anger, all right? I like to refer to this as naming it and taming it. So what exactly are we upset about? Is it something that we can change, or is it something that we ourselves have to adjust to? Also, taking time to cool off and go for a relaxing walk outdoors is a great way to kind of think through and process your emotions without acting out before thinking first. And of course, you want to do this with permission. So you can't just run out of the class. You can't just walk out of your house. You can say, I need some time outside, please. Or I need to go for a walk, please. And maybe, an adult will be able to go with you or be able to monitor if you take a walk, like out in the backyard, perhaps. Lastly, we can take 10 deep cleansing breaths. All right. Breathing in deep is important because A, it helps us get oxygen to our brains, which helps us think better. It promotes good blood flow and circulation. And oftentimes, when we're angry, we can say or do things that we don't really mean. And so, taking those nice 10 deep breaths gives us the time to process our emotions and to decide whether we want to act in the moment or if we want to think it through more. Sadness. How it feels. Sadness feels like everything is going wrong and you become very small or feel alone. It can happen when we feel that something bad has happened, such as when someone hurts our feelings, or when someone else gets hurt, or if we get hurt and we don't know how to help. Okay, we don't know what to do. So, what sadness can look like, and again, this is variable, you might frown at the mouth. You might furrow or scrunch up your forehead, and your eyes might widen and your body becomes tense. Okay? You might cry or use unkind words to others. And then for some people, they become very quiet and withdrawn. They want to be alone when they're feeling sad. Okay? They don't want others to see them feeling sad. So, what you can do about it is you can acknowledge and reframe your sadness. What are you feeling sad about? Can you change it? Or is it something that you have to adjust to? Talk to a trusted friend or adult about what is making you sad and why. And please know that it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel sad. All right. Sadness, just like anger, they're both human emotions. They're both very normal. All right. And so crying is okay. But what we don't want to do is act out because of our emotions. We don't want to hurt or lash out at other people because that doesn't really accomplish anything. And then afterwards, once our emotions change, we're left to deal with the consequences of our actions. All right. So it's better to just cry it out and get some support. Okay. And then something else you can do when you're feeling up for it, it's engage in activities that you enjoy and that make you feel happy. So if you're feeling sad because you're not able to go to school or you miss your friends, and your school's closed because of the pandemic, try and find things that you enjoy. Okay. Maybe you can do a Zoom hangout with your friends from class. Maybe you can call a friend and you can watch a movie together over the, Disney Plus. They do like a group watch function. And so you can watch the same movie at the same time, which is pretty cool, right? Technology is great for adapting. Fearfulness. Fearfulness feels like your heart and mind are moving too fast and you can't make it stop. Being afraid or having fear can happen when we feel unsafe or when we feel in danger and we don't know what to do. It can make us feel like we need to fight or run away to protect ourselves. Okay, so fear isn't really a great feeling. You definitely don't feel in control when you feel fearful and you feel the need to protect yourself. Okay, and that's normal to feel that need, but it's not okay necessarily to act out on that need, especially if you're trying to hurt someone else. So what it can look like is maybe your eyebrows are raised and your eyes are wide and your mouth is open and your body's tensing up because you're trying to brace or prepare for pain or danger because you don't know what's going to happen. You might yell or use unkind words to others. You might cry when you're afraid. Running away or fighting and hurting someone else. Okay, that's what some people do. We definitely don't want to run away or fight or hurt someone else because those aren't very adaptive actions, right? They might help in the moment, but they don't help long term. And what we're looking for are long-term solutions. So some things that we can do about it, acknowledge and reframe our fear. What are we afraid of? Okay, what is making us feel afraid? Can we change it? Talk to a friend or trusted adult about what is making us afraid and why. A lot of times when we're afraid of something, the truth is that it's not likely to happen. But in our minds, we make it more real than it needs to be. Okay, so let's say that you feel afraid of getting sick. Okay, as long as you are taking the necessary precautions, as long as you are washing your hands, staying 6 feet away from others, wearing a mask when you are around people who are not in your household or when someone in your household is sick, that greatly reduces the chances of you getting ill. And therefore, it's not something to necessarily be afraid of. We just have to be cautious, more or less. Okay? And so fear isn't the right response. We want to train ourselves to engage in more appropriate responding. And then, of course, taking 10 deep cleansing breaths when we feel afraid or going for a walk. Physical activity is great because it helps our body release endorphins, and endorphins can help to balance out any of the fear that we're, feeling, any of the adrenaline or cortisol that our body is releasing as a stress response. Restlessness and boredom. I included this on the list because I feel like a lot of us, especially with the pandemic and having to stay indoors and not seeing our friends, we feel this a lot. So boredom feels like our brains have stopped working and our bodies need to constantly move. Other times it's like your body is standing still and everything is stopped. It can happen when we feel like there's nothing to do or when we can't focus on what is currently going on because we're just not interested or we don't understand it. So what boredom can look like, as you can see in the picture, you kind of have a blank expression. It's like you have zero affect. We move our hands to support our face and our head. It might look like wanting to leave or wanting to sleep. As far as feelings, it might mean that you feel tired or sleepy, or you want to move around constantly because your body is restless. You're unable to relax. It can also look like becoming very quiet and withdrawn, or becoming very loud and active as a way to get rid or relieve ourselves of our boredom. And so boredom happens to everybody, right? Maybe you're feeling bored right now listening to this PowerPoint, and I apologize for that. So some things that you can do: acknowledge and reframe your boredom, all right? What is making us feel bored? Can we change it? Take time to move around in your area for a brain break. Brain breaks are great. They just help you to get that blood flowing and to help readjust and maybe get some energy back in your body, okay? Or provide a healthy outlet for any energy that you have pent up. Going for a quick walk outdoors with permission. And then asking questions or finding ways to relate to what's going on. So let's say you're watching a movie or you're talking to someone, and at first it was interesting, but now it's kind of boring and you're starting to get restless. You want to move around. Ask questions. Find ways to relate to what the person is saying or the movie that you're watching. That way, it helps you maintain interest and maybe helps you better understand what's going on. All right. Surprise and shock. Oh my goodness. Surprise feels like you've been knocked off your feet and your stomach has dropped. It can also feel like your heart and mind are moving very fast. Oftentimes, surprise and shock happen when something unexpected occurs that we did not anticipate, or when we find something out that we did not know before. So as you can see in the picture, surprise and shock can look like your eyebrows are raised, your eyes are wide, your mouth is open, your body might tense up to brace for the unknown, right? And you might just not know what to say. A lot of times when we're surprised, we're speechless. We don't know what to say or think, or we might talk loudly and blindly. We might just say things that don't make sense because our bodies and minds are trying to process everything that's going on. So what you can do about it: acknowledge and reframe your surprise and shock. What are you shocked about? Can you change it? Is it a good shock or a bad shock? Take time to process and think about what is going on. Okay, a lot of times when you feel surprised, you don't know what to say, and that's perfectly normal. All right, take the time to process it, to think about what's going on and how you feel about it. You can take 10 deep cleansing breaths to provide oxygen to your brain, to increase blood flow. In yoga, we call these our ujjayi breaths. And so you breathe in really deep, and you might breathe or exhale through your mouth, okay? And just that helps to relieve some of the tension in your jawline, to relieve the tension that you carry in your neck and your face. All right, I saved the best for last, of course: happiness and joy. Happiness, oh man, happiness feels like everything is right and good in the world. Like you are invincible. Everything is good. Nothing bad can happen. And you might feel like you have this charming, bubbly feeling in your heart and stomach. Okay, you might have butterflies. You just feel good. It can happen for a bunch of different reasons, right? People feel happiness and joy for just so many different things. I couldn't even begin to tell you all the different things. All right. So maybe you accomplished something that you set out to do. Maybe you gained access to something that you really wanted. Or maybe it's just when you feel loved and cared for. So, what it looks like, well, your eyes are wide, your mouth is smiling, your shoulders are back, and your arms are open, your body is relaxed and comfortable. It might look like being talkative and using kind words to those around us. And it might also mean wanting to move around and share our happiness with others. All right. We want other people to feel as good as we do. And so, what you can do is just honestly take advantage and savor the moment. Acknowledge your joy. What are you happy about? Show appreciation for what's making you happy. And of course, be kind to others to encourage the development of their own happiness. Okay, so uplifting and supporting and celebrating those around us is a great way to share our joy.